Support, compression, vowel modification, pharyngeal space, the cricothyroid, the intercostal muscles, formants, F1, F2, twang, the singer's formant, forward placement, the diaphragm, the tongue, the root of the tongue, the soft palate. Since when did singing become rocket surgery, where you basically have to be a scientist? You have to study all of this theory before you sing any actual songs. It's kind of like being fire hosed with all of these terms and techniques and theory before you're ever allowed to really sing a song. Singing is much more simple than it's made out to be in a lot of cases. However, it's important to have a working understanding of a lot of these things if you're a teacher and if you're working with a lot of people that are coming at you with different accents and different issues and different styles and all of this kind of stuff. You need to understand how to hear a frequency and how to give them advice beyond just, oh, just yawn more, just support more. That kind of dismissive coaching that I received many years ago. You just need to support more, this kind of thing. You don't necessarily need it to sing well. What I'm going to do is give you the most simple, basic, oversimplified, mass oversimplification of singing that we can possibly come up with. This mass oversimplification is not going to get you to Freddie Mercury level. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's going to get you somewhere. It's going to get you started. It's probably going to get you past the block that you've been stuck at. Again, oversimplification. Keep it simple, stupid. Number one, all of your singing goes from the hard palate into the soft palate. A student of mine actually reminded me of this recently. It's an instruction I've given 4.7 billion times over the past 15 years of coaching professionally. And it's an instruction I received probably 27 billion times when I was first learning how to sing and really struggling with all of this stuff. It's really simple. It's practical. I use it when I'm singing. It lets you really focus on, really bring everything together on a fundamental level. Basically, if you take any sound and you figuratively imagine it starting at the hard palate and you send it diagonal and back into the soft palate. Yeah, it's going to work 95% of the time. There you go. There's all that high range that you've been missing. The caveat being, if depending on what happens, you need to modify your vowel to kind of morph that space into the right shape and size to match the frequency and the harmonics that you are singing with. Let's keep it simple. Please keep it simple. Diagonal and back. Let's focus on it. Let's say you're singing a rock song, right? I wanna lay you down in a bed of roses. Diagonal and back as we go up. For tonight I sleep on a bed of nails. Whoa, I wanna be just as close as diagonal and back. The Holy Ghost dares to lay you down on a bed of roses. Sing anything you like. Doesn't have to be a rock song. Diagonal and back every time you sing a high note. Mass oversimplification, but that's going to get you started. Number two, support out. Support, appoggio, prop lean, all of that stuff. Much ado is made about nothing. It's very simple. It's very simple in a practical sense. It's generally not explained very well. This does depend on your disposition as a person. So if you perhaps might be the more anxious type, like I am, you might be a little bit more tense when you're singing. You're like, man, I'm going to fuck this up. And maybe you're pulling in a lot more than someone that's a natural singer who might just support naturally and kind of lean down a little bit, this kind of thing. I've seen the instruction to support like you are having a bathroom movement, this kind of thing. I've just got to interject there. This really isn't how I go to the bathroom. What are you guys out there, like, what are you eating? Guys, seriously, I think you should really look at your diet. A, if that's an instruction you're giving people, and B, if that's the way you're singing. Something's severely wrong with your diet. Forget singing. Go to the doctor or something. Go to a naturopath or something and have them tell you what to eat. Go and eat some freaking vegetables. So when we're supporting the voice, we're not pulling in like this. I see a lot of people doing it. I see a lot of people instructing in that way. Shouldn't do it. You also shouldn't really go out either. It's neither. It's in between the two. Now, if you imagine blowing up a balloon, or if you have children like we do, there's probably balloons lying around somewhere from some birthday at some point. Blow up a balloon and pay attention to the feeling in your midsection here, right where your kind of floating ribs are, your lower ribs are, your upper abs, right? They're going to contract, but not inwards. It's not like going, like someone's about to tackle you in football or something like that. It's actually kind of contracted outwards. It's outwards resistance. Lower belly's probably relaxed or maybe in. Shouldn't pull it in, but if it comes in, great. This section is kind of out. And you have varying degrees of this, again, depending on your disposition as a person. If you're more tense, you want to release more air. If you're very aspirate when you sing like this, you got the more Michael Jackson thing going on. You probably want to add more resistance to the sound. So again, when I'm singing that, for tonight I sleep on a bed of nails. Where I wanna be. Again, I'm not really like, ugh. It's outwards. Again, just like blowing up a balloon. Play around with this. If you're very clampy, release some air. If you're very aspirate, hold in a little bit of air. It should be from here, not from your throat. Support is really simple. Support outwards. So diagonal and back with your vowel. Support outwards. Really simple, right? Finally, sing bright. All your favorite singers are much brighter than you realize. Rock music in particular is presented to you in a way where it's supposed to be kind of more modern stuff. I don't really listen to anything past about 1996, 98 maybe. So what's modern for me is probably different to what's modern for you. But more modern stuff is presented to you in a way where it's very punchy and the vocals are very upfront, and you're given the illusion that people are really hitting consonant sounds really hard because it's so hyper compressed within the mix and mastering, all that kind of stuff. If you listen to 60s and 70s stuff, it's much less aggressive because it's not presented to you in that way. So when it comes to the tone of the voice, all great singers are incredibly bright. Aretha Franklin, Chris Cornell, Lane Staley could tear paint off walls. Even someone like Danzig or Jim Morrison, someone like this. Peter Steele is a really great example of this as well. There's this bright forward placement to the sound. This doesn't mean singing nasal. This doesn't mean singing whiny and Billy Corgan style. It's actually an independent harmonic that comes from the vocal folds that you accentuate when you sing. And this can accompany lower frequencies in a deeper tone. You need to sing forward. Every time I demonstrate something, it's incredibly forward. Outside of context of a band and guitars and all of these kind of things, you may not like your voice so much when you go for a forward tone. You're going to be twice as loud. It's going to be easy. You're going to be able to get grit and gravel like nobody's business. It's going to be fantastic. Once you put this in context, it's going to sit really, really well. You need to sing forward. This is why we have forward placement. This isn't a choice. I work with a lot of people that their biggest issue is putting on a voice. They try and cover up the brighter parts of their voice. They try and cover up the lighter parts of their voices as well. Try and sing with this beefy kind of tone. They're like, man, I want to sing like Robert Plant and has really beefy sound. I'm like, Robert Plant doesn't have a beefy sound. I want to sing like Chris Cornell and have a beefy sound. Doesn't have a beefy sound. I want to sing like Lane Staley. He has a beefy sound. No, he doesn't have a beefy sound. The way things are presented to you and your perception is probably off with this. So you need to sing really, really bright. So say we're singing, say we get me a key here instead of picking a random key, right? Fire in my eyes, joy. This is a very bright sound, right? Yeah, you try. Whatever your perception is of it, put it out the window, sing bright, and see how it goes for you. Diagonal and back, support your voice laterally, outwards, sing bright, and then come back to me with your questions. This is the most mass oversimplification of vocal technique you're going to find, but it's a good starting point. Hit that subscribe button, or don't. I don't really care. We'll talk soon. Or not.